I'm going to do it small in the corner so maybe it won't disturb the drawing. So this is number 22. Everyone should have a pencil. So this is our structure. I'm going to leave some, think about this as a composition. We talk about compositions, and it's easy to not see what's going on in a composition. Rectangles and squares are boring. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean they don't pull focus. Sometimes you want things to not pull focus and to be simpler. If you have things that are a triangle, they always point. Triangles are like little arrows and they point in directions. So in this case, this is kind of the general arrow of the picture. Do you see that? And that always makes the composition a little bit more interesting. I'm going to leave out this truck and the building back here. I also probably will leave out the boat here because it just doesn't match. I like the old kind of vibe to the picture, the dilapidated barn or shed and the trees, and so I don't really want to put that stuff in there. Is a picture I took because I thought the shed was cool and I thought it would be a good reference for art class. So this is a 1-point perspective. Sorry, kind of 1-point perspective, kind of 2-point perspective. We have a vanishing point out this way. You can see the road goes that way. You can see kind of some of the lines go that way. Don't be too judicious with your following of the vanishing point. We also have a vanishing point going out this way somewhere. So our horizon is in here somewhere. Hopefully we can see what I'm talking about. So we're going to start with a basic structure here. Just kind of I'm going to do some blob shapes for the trees here, and right about the lower half of the middle, so it's about lower third is going to be my horizon. I'm just going to sketch the horizon in there, and I've got this tree. I'm going to make it just a little smaller to increase that triangular shape, and then I've got this shed. And it, Oh, I see what you mean.
Please excuse interruption. Daisha Hammond to the front office.
So I am putting in just some basic structure for the tree, this little tree over here. A little bit of a structure for this barn, or whatever we're calling it, shed. It does, with this, your composition does not have to follow every detail in this. You can kind of make it your own. I hope you do, because there's a lot of detail and it can get kind of complicated. But you want to keep the major elements of the composition the same. So a tree and a shed. And the shed's kind of falling apart. That's kind of the composition here. But if you see it differently and you have a good argument for why you should make it different, that's fine. So can you see this a little bit now? Hopefully we can. I'm not including the truck in the back, but if you want to, you may. If that's what you like in the picture, go ahead and include that. I don't really like it because I like the old-timey looking elements of this picture, and that truck is not old-timey enough for me. But that's my choice as the artist, and if you want to include it, go ahead, please do. I'm not also going to include all of these little details on the way back here. I might put some of those in there, but I'm just going to get the basic structure in here first. I'm also bringing the shed a little closer, kind of zooming in on it. Don't exaggerate. In this picture, I don't want to exaggerate my vanishing point in the sense of perspective, because it can kind of take over the composition if you change the vibe of the composition. There's sort of a nice lazy vibe to this composition, and if I make it too exaggerated in perspective, it will look more intense, and I don't actually want that. once you've got the basic elements of that structure there, I'm going to tone the sky. I know this is the one I did in yesterday's class. I didn't tone the sky, and you can see it's a slightly different composition. I'm taking a slightly different approach to it, but I'm going to try doing the sky ahead of time with the Kleenex. And I'm not going to use, you can use graphite stick. I'm actually not going to use graphite stick. I'm going to use regular pencil. You should always have one of these when you're doing this kind of drawing. This is only for the sky, by the way. This is not going to be for the whole thing. It's only going to be for the sky. I'm going to use a regular pencil. I'm going to sand off some stuff. The reason I'm using a number 2 pencil for this is because it is a lighter color graphite. And I'm going to try something a little different here. I'm going to take my Kleenex, pull the corners together. Don't dump the stuff on there yet. I'm going to go straight onto the Kleenex because I don't want there to be piles of it. I want to have a nice even tone. Take some of this, rub it into the Kleenex, and then I'm going to go do straight motions across the top. Get a nice light fade, darken it up at the top, and then fade down as we get lower in the sky. So we create a nice toned gray. I want a little darker. I'm going to take a little bit more of that number 2 graphite powder that I just made, rub it into it, and go up at the top. So better to go lighter than darker at this point. You can always add more. It's a lot harder to get it to take it out. I need a little more. Yeah, if you're working on this at home, you should go to YouTube and look up a version of Sons Carrillos by Pernambuco, the composer, so you can listen to what the students in the classroom heard before working on that. So the song I was playing on guitar. I should put that as a link in the description, but I'm not going to. So we got a nicely faded, I don't know if you can see this, I'm going to show you guys. This is what I'm talking about. You can see I've really lightly faded that graphite. You see it. I've got one of you guys. See? Toned, faded. Just a little bit darker. It will help your sky look like it's coming, like a sky does. This is my thing from yesterday. So now I got my structure in here, a tree up here. I'm going to start at the top like I did yesterday. I'm going to start with my dark pencil, and I'm going to do some overhand, and just this W shape, this kind of W shape can really help. It's kind of a webbed foot shape for a duck webbed foot shape kind of thing, kind of like that, or yeah, that's kind of the shape I'm going to be doing with this. Yes, get a dark pencil if you need a dark pencil, please. Good job. So I'm going to be switching from writer's grip to overhand grip. The overhand grip gives me more detail. The writer's grip gives me more of a broad shading color. So that's really can be helpful. An issue that people have in doing trees all the time, and you might have this too, even though you might not know it. People do trees like they're all the same tone. Pay attention. This is dark. Look in your reference. This is dark. This is light. Don't make the light the same color as the dark. Make the dark really contrasting to the light. Leave the light white. Leave paper for the light colored trees. A lot of times people get into a routine and a pattern of just making leaf textures, and they forget to have the highlights, or the dark lights for that matter. So it's a variety of texture that you absolutely have to have for it to look like an actual tree. A variety of value. The overhand with a dark pencil is a really great way to get dark areas dark fast. Can really help just kind of make that, tone it first before you get worried about getting a lot of detail in there. Huh? Just for a moment. There you go. So what I'm doing right here is I'm seeing the patterns of light and dark, and I'm just using an overhand with a dark pencil to kind of make the pattern of dark first. And then I'm going to do a medium. I will be putting detail in here, but I'm just kind of, the way some painters do, they base it out in a kind of a base color. This is kind of a base graphite that I'm putting in here. I've also got some leaves covering up some of my trunk over here, so I need to leave space for that. Another thing I was mentioning yesterday is you don't have to have detail on every corner of your picture. Please don't, actually. So the edge of your, you can kind of think in terms of like a halo. The middle of your picture can generally be a lot more defined than the edges, and you can let things blur out a little bit. It actually helps your picture look more interesting by pulling focus toward where you want to look. And you can kind of control the viewer's sight a little bit. Keep going. Just be patient with it. A lot of details in this. It's just zone in and let the groove happen. It's just going to be a lot of leaf drawing for a little bit. Yeah, that's good. If you want to move on to the shed, take a break from the leaf drawing, move on to the working on the shed, that's great. Just do what works good for your mind. So some people wonder what to do when you're working on that kind of detail. I keep on looking at so I'm over here, I'm looking here, I'm keeping my eye on what I'm doing. So I kind of create a memory of what I'm doing there, just a brief memory, and then I kind of work it here. And just keep your eye with your pencil and your eye with your picture. And don't just get stuck into just a routine pattern of doing them all the same. That's, like I said before, that's kind of where problems seem to occur. Not problems, just it becomes really all the same instead of having the clumpy look that the leaves have. Okay, I forgot to unpause it a moment ago. I've made some progress, done some stuff over here and over there. So this, as we're doing this random W shape that kind of overlaps. So I've got it, here's an example. So we're going to do it like this, and then kind of do it in random angles. That's kind of what's going on up here. You don't need to do everything the same. And what's happening for some of you guys is you're doing it all the same, like all the same color. Like as a stack. Don't try to make them all the same. You need a few good looking leaves up in here in the visual part of it. You don't need them all to be the same, and they don't actually have to live. These are maple leaves, and if you've seen a maple leaf, it's like a Canadian flag. A lot like a grape leaf. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it is. The Canadian flag is a maple leaf. So I'm just kind of try to throw a few of those in there. Yeah, they're into their maple. Maple leaves, maple trees, maple geese. Canada geese are actually maple geese. No, that's not true. But that would be funny. So I'm not going to be including that boat. You are being recorded right now. I don't know how well the recording actually hears you guys. Me too.
I'll go watch it later.
Tree over here. Bush right in front of the house. Cleanup time.